great. Hi, Emily.
Hi, Jessie. How you doing?
Good. I am Jessie Sage. I'm the host of When We're Not Hustling.
I am Emily Foster. I'm the producer of When We're Not Hustling, and this
Yeah.
is the after party.
Yeah. For episode 12, we had a guest, Madeleine Blair, and it was very fun to talk to her about writing.
Yeah, and she's an amazing poet, incredible
Yeah.
poet. Do look forward to the short. We will have her reading that on there as soon as the editor gets on it.
It was very sexy. I was like,
It
ah.
was very sexy. Yeah. No, I loved it. And her just she, there was so much she did that was so fun, but
Mhm.
just her engagement with the sensual and the tactile
Of
uh
writing too. Yeah.
was just it. I was
Hmm.
expecting it. It was a poet. I was looking forward to it,
Yeah.
and still it got me. I was like, that's a little
I know there was some sort of like overlaying. Actually, I think probably more than any of our other guests so far. There was this like uh sensual overlay of like
yes.
everything that she said in a way that I don't know if it
There
was
was a
because
thread
she's
of sexuality that somehow was more prominent in her interview than most of our guests, even though
I
no one's a
think
sex
so.
worker.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But it
like
seemed like it was more
absolutely.
like part of it that there was this like, and I don't
Yes.
know if it's the poet part of her or what, but like, I mean, everybody's sexy. We have had a million sexy.
Yes.
I mean, well, now
Yes.
it's 12, but
Literally, this show
everyone.
is the sexiest people I've ever seen. I'm like, oh, another one. Oh, okay. Well, now I just
Yeah.
expect it.
But it was like this kind of embodied sexuality that was woven throughout like everything that she was saying that was
Absolute embodied
visceral.
sexuality is good.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was
Yes.
visceral.
She is a
Yeah.
visceral human. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. And we're both writers. We constantly use words, but yeah, I felt like I could touch her writing. I felt more
Yeah. Yeah.
tactile than most writers. It was
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
good.
I
So
thought it,
she used to have a stutter.
I know. And that's what I was
Like,
going to say. That was one of the most interesting things that she was talking about is like, so both of us are, have essays coming out in this upcoming book called The Holy Hour, an anthology of
yes.
sex work, magic, and the divine, or something like that,
Yes. Yes.
with Working Girl Press. And I asked her what her essay's about because we were all supposed to write something about related to sex work and spirituality or magic or something. And she was talking about, and I did not expect this at all, talking about putting on a persona in sex work as a way of creating something different. And she talked about that in relationship to her stutter. And
Yes.
I also didn't know until she told us that Marilyn Monroe had a stutter. And
So cool.
yeah, and that
I
by putting
You
on
can
this,
sing, apparently. I have a friend with a
yeah,
stutter who we didn't get to work nearly enough together, but she was always bugging me for singing lessons because you can, and very much like that
yeah,
persona, like, well, don't say it. Yes, you stutter when you talk, but when you sing, you don't. Like,
yeah.
just like that persona didn't.
But
I just,
actually, now that I'm saying this, like, I didn't think about this until I just said it now, but like, we're saying that she has this like overt sexuality or embodied sexuality.
mm,
Like, she was saying that Marilyn Monroe did that too,
oh, interesting. Yeah.
as like, not as putting on like almost a caricature of like
Hmm.
herself that allowed her to speak more fluently. And
Yes.
that's so interesting.
That's interesting. Oh,
Yeah.
that's very cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, Yeah, I didn't have speech impediments like that, but I know that I was very self-conscious about growing up in Southern California and having what I thought sounded like a Valley girl
Oh,
accent,
got you. Right.
and especially in college, and in grad school, I remember feeling like I do not want to talk like this. I sound dumb. Like I thought I sounded dumb
Right.
because that's
No,
the stereotype.
that is the association with that accent. Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
I agree. I
Yeah.
see the same thing with Southern accents. People run into the same issue. It's like
Right.
if I have a certain Southern accent, people just assume I'm an idiot. And
Yeah.
like it's so unfair. But yeah, Valley Girl falls into that for sure.
Yeah. Especially
Like
as
for sure, dude.
like for sure. Like totally. And
Like, oh my God.
and I very, very consciously, and I know I still do it, but I very, very consciously like work to try to eradicate some of that speech
Right.
pattern
Gotcha. Yeah.
out of my um especially and when I did Peep Show and was editing my own voice
Mm.
and at the beginning was very much editing out all the likes and all the ums and then I was like maybe I could just be more conscious of how I'm talking and it would make editing easier.
Nothing like video editing to make you go, a complete lifestyle and habit change would be better.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
valid.
Yeah,
I'm just
but
going to change the way I talk.
yeah,
It's easier.
I can't deal with this. This is too much editing. But well, and I wrote a piece one time for the Washington Post and in it it said that I was the host of Peep Show podcast and this dude was such an asshole because it got obviously it's the Washington Post, a lot of people read it
Right.
and he must have been pissed off that a woman had something to say in a major publication and it was about sex work and he must have like thought that was shouldn't have been there or whatever. Because he listened to my Peep Show episodes. He sent me like a 10 paragraph email in what he thought was my voice that was completely Valley girled out, mocking me.
That's a lot of fucking time.
I
He
know.
really, really liked you. Like, hey, whatever.
Yeah, I never even
It's not
responded to it
indifference.
because I was like,
Wow, 10 paragraphs.
it was so long and it was mocking me the whole time and mocking
Wow.
the what he perceived to be Valley Girl cadence.
Right.
And I'm sorry, but I was born in Southern California and I lived
Yeah,
there till I was in my mid 20s. I don't know what to
right.
say.
Like, no, I also was born in Southern California, only lived there till 7. It persists.
Yeah.
I is like, and dude, and granted, we moved to
Yeah.
Hawaii. Dude is somewhat prevalent there, and the surfer lingo
Yeah.
followed me
Hmm.
there. But there's specific Southern California things
Yeah.
that even up to the age of 7 crept
Yeah.
in. They're there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know what you want me to do with this. Like, give
Yeah,
me a
and
break.
I'm in no way like trying to equate like a major speech impediment and an accent, but I do feel like that's the only
Yeah,
like I understand in some ways what she's talking about in terms of like
yeah.
taking on something else to in order to try to
For me,
uh
it resonated with performing.
mhm,
I I quite literally vomited the first probably 10 times I performed
mm,
ever.
mhm,
And eventually sort of developed a, slightly different than me persona. It was Emily, not
yeah,
Emily. And she doesn't have stage fright and she loves talking to the audience. And,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah,
it was really a very helpful exercise because you just, I wanted to perform.
mhm,
And
mhm,
once you've decided to perform, stage fright just gets in the way. It's
yeah,
not it, at the very least it comes off as attention seeking, but at the worst of it, it can prevent you from
from
even
doing anything
starting
you want
a
to do.
song,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's really bad. And um I just had enough self-consciousness to want to
Yeah.
eradicate that as quickly
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
possible. Like, I want attention, but not like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Uh-huh.
want that attention.
Hmm.
I want this other attention, a very good
Right.
song, not, oh, it's
Yeah.
okay. I'm like, oh, no, it's
Yeah.
okay. It's an open mic. It's not going to kill me. It just feels like it because I have anxiety.
Yeah. Well,
But
I mean, I
Emily
think,
doesn't have anxiety. She's delightful and fun and is great at performing. So yeah, I got that. What you was talking about, I'm like, I know
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's something really powerful about um uh I think there's something I'm thinking through how I'm going to say this. I think there's something really powerful about taking on something that you want to be, and
Yes.
stepping into it before you've actually like integrated it and doing it.
Yes.
So I wrote this
Yeah.
essay this week in my column about my feelings, about my
Okay.
very complicated feelings about poly with my poly partner when I'm fairly monoromantic. I might not be very monogamous, but I'm fairly
Yeah. Yeah.
monoromantic, and trying to deal with all of that. And then I wrote it, and we were talking about things, and they were like, what you're saying now is not exactly the same thing you were saying in your article. And I was like, of course not. The article was aspirational. It was aspirational, but that doesn't mean it's not valid. It means that like we have to like take part of what we do in
Yeah.
our art, and I consider myself my writing to be my like art. Part of what we do in our art
Definitely.
is create a world that we want to be in,
Yes.
and that means you
There's
do
a
it before it
Rutko.
exists. You create it before it's a thing, and then you
Yes.
open that world to step into it. So yes, I want to step into that world. I have to make it first. So
I have to create it.
I
I have
have
to
to create
pretend.
it.
I have to,
I have to
I
pretend
think it's
until
pronounced Rutka. There's a quote that ever since I found it, I think I was like 25 when I found it. And it was, we learn by doing, what is there to know? And I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
I don't,
Mhm.
don't, I, I have to start doing it. I have to stop talking about it. I have to
Yeah.
stop thinking
Mhm.
about it. I have to
Mhm.
stop making sure it's perfect before I start. Like
Right.
I used to have that problem in my early 20s,
Yeah.
not
Mhm.
anymore. And now I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a performer.
Mhm. Mhm.
And yes, the same person who said I'm going to be a performer is up here crying, but she's not going to learn how not to until we get through this, is she?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, yeah, yes, PJ, yes,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be that. The
Yeah.
what I
I
wrote in that
am
article, that's
writing that.
what I'm gonna be. I'm writing it down. That's my vision board.
Yeah. I'm writing
But
it
I gotta get
into the
through this.
world. I'm writing that into the world. The Jessie of the future is going to be open and
Yes.
vulnerable and
Yes.
all of the things. The Jessie of right now is kind of
It's
freaking
Jesse's
out.
Jesse's still a little closed off and needs a fucking minute.
Jessie still has
Yeah,
some defenses up. Jesse's working on it.
dude. Yes.
And all
No,
of that is like
yeah.
so deep. And actually, I think it's such a beautiful like testament to art and performance and writing.
Yes,
And we do create who we want to be.
we do. I mean, and we always have. It's just not quite so codified once we leave school, right? Like
Yeah. Hmm.
we are crawlers and we aspire to be walkers. And then
Hmm.
we are
Hmm.
walkers and we aspired and
Yeah.
and we're in fifth grade. And when I'm in seventh grade, I'm gonna
Yeah.
get to, and it keeps going. And yeah, there's a certain, and then you graduate, and especially for the
Yeah.
uterus havers, you get married and pop out some babies, and that is your story. And then your
Yeah.
story becomes their story.
Hmm.
But we still create who we're going to be every moment,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right.
every
Right.
choice that we make, like
Right.
the
This
days
is
that
what
I,
why when I was a young person I fell in love with the existentialists, because this
yes,
whole idea of
yes,
like creating who you are and of existence preceding essence, like
yes.
was so powerful to me and still is like, yes, I'm jealous
No, I
and batshit,
love that.
but I could not be.
But there's a
I could
future
be
where I
something
won't be.
else.
When I first had jealousy in my poly relationship, it was a fucking problem.
Yeah.
It was a problem. We had to talk about it and cry about it and scream about it. It took up so much space. Yesterday, no, today, this morning, I expressed, well, I'm having a lot of jealousy about it, but it'll pass. I don't really need to talk it out. It's just that stage.
Yeah.
Like,
So can we talk about
but
something
I didn't just
else?
show up here like this, able to just acknowledge that. And like, you have
Yeah.
to get there. Like,
Yeah. Hmm.
when people are like, oh, let spirit be your guide, I'm like, spirit needs to follow what I'm practicing every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spirit needs to catch up. Ask
Yeah.
spirit. It's
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
catching up from what I was a week ago.
I know. It's hard. It's complicated being a human. It's
Oh my
very
God, it's so
hard.
hard.
Like I have all these ideas, but then I actually have to like live.
Live
And
them.
yeah, that's
Yes.
really
And the
rough.
implications of what they are.
Yeah.
If I'm not
Mm-hmm.
this thing, what am I then? I know
Mm-hmm.
that I don't want to be bitchy and jealous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then what am I? Like, then what does it look like? At the
Right.
moment, a little acerbic and sort of like above it, and definitely a little retail therapy. Thank you. But it's not the screaming, crying 5 days of the
Yeah.
shit that everyone was tired of, especially me.
Right. You get tired of your own shit.
Oh
Like,
my God, I'm so tired of my own shit. As I'm doing it, I'm tired of it. I'm
I
like, God, this again.
I know. I feel you. I
Oh,
feel
Emily's
you.
on one again. Oh,
So rough.
yeah. But
Like when you're
maybe we
like
need
fighting with
a
your partner too, you're like, I always want to say like, do you think I want to be like this?
right. Maybe that's it. Okay. Maybe Madeline has given us the way. Maybe we
Yeah.
need a persona that
Yes.
is okay with that until we can integrate.
I think that's great. Let's create like the supportive wife
The
persona.
supportive wife persona
Yeah.
is like, oh, that's great, honey.
Yeah.
Awesome. Did you get
Did
the
you have a good
dishes
time?
done?
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
all right. I love it. This is the takeaway from this episode, the supportive wife persona.
Yes.
And
Persona of
we
any
create
kind. We happen to need that one.
yeah. Yeah. And then our emotional stutters will smooth themselves out.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Emotional stutters are really good. Yeah. That
Yeah.
is really what it feels like.
Hmm.
No, I was just going to smoothly process that, but that didn't happen. Whoopsie. Oh, that's delightful. All right.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is. Okay. So we got a lot out of this episode.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. It's
Thank
therapeutic, I
you.
have
Thank you,
to say.
Madeline. Thank you,
Yeah.
poets.
All right. So this is
Oh,
when we're not hustling. Please like and subscribe to us and leave us your comments and follow us on socials at Not Hustling Pod. Anything else?
yeah. I'm Emily Foster. This is Jessie Sage, and thank you for watching.
Yeah. So